Okay, let's dive in. So, the base kit. This is where we build the foundation for your business. Now, back in the day, not that very many months ago, it would take for freaking ever to get all of these foundation documents. But thank goodness we can not only have Claude do a lot of that work for you, we can also pull from what you already have. So, I'm going to walk you through creating a base kit, which is literally just a folder that everyone can reach. Because if right now you only have a pro account and you don't have a team account, but let's say later you want to add a team account, it's kind of challenging because all that context and all that memory doesn't pass over. But if we build it in a way where if you do upgrade, you can always have access to that root folder that has everything, like on Google Docs or iCloud or however you want to connect them, then that totally works. And I recommend it anyway, just because like I have two machines that both use Claude Cowork, one pro account or one max account, I suppose, but I still have to do so much in between. And so having a Google Drive hookup is great. That being said, because I let this go and my laptop died, I had all sorts of Claude problems this morning. So the great news about that, because it's not great news in general, but it's my fault. Don't let your laptop battery die while it's in the middle of stuff. It made it so it looks brand spanking new. So look at this. All right. What we're going to be doing is first, I'm going to show you how to connect your tools because right now we don't have any. Oh, we do have some connectors. Oh, good. We didn't lose all of those, but I do not have the Google Drive. Let's connect to Google Drive. That's my email. Don't wear it out. And of course, I'm signing back in. Now, if you don't trust this yet, because it's still in research mode, I totally get it. That's the reason why I don't have these two. I think I mentioned it before. Google Drive, I've actually given it only certain aspects that it can reach, and therefore, so far, so good. Now, we're going to go into this in just a minute, but this is where the skills are, and we're going to browse some plugins later because they all disappeared. All right, so now we should be able to see Drive right there. And let's see if we can connect my Drive. So one of the things that I ended up doing, this is my Google Drive, lucky me, I'm going to create a folder, and we're going to call it BaseKit. And this is going to be all of the foundational documents. Great. Okay. So one of the other things that I want to make sure we do, which in Google Drive ended up copying the brand guidelines. So in the last video, we went through and started talking about gathering what you have. Don't worry, I'm going to show you hopefully an easy way to do this. Hopefully it won't pull up craziness when it searches my Google Drive so I can show you. But I pulled that together because I know part of the base kit that I know I'm going to need is brand guidelines and that kind of thing. So we'll go over that in just a minute. But one of the very first documents that we want to have, I'm going to call it a company overview, like an internal document that really talks about your company, potentially values, mission, vision, that kind of thing. So we're going to try, and wish me luck because I haven't tried it yet. Let's add some plugins. And while I'm here, because I had a ton of them beforehand, I'm going to add a lot of them so you get to see. Doesn't take too long. Just imagine a new employee, the click of a button. Hiring usually takes forever. And so I don't need that. I don't need that. And these are just what I'm deciding and what I had before. You, of course, can decide what you would like to do or use. Operations, of course. Brand voice. Okay, I think that's it. I'm not going to use engineering for now, but okay. So those should be all set. You can also have your own plugins, which is very cool, along with all sorts of other stuff that you can do. I can't wait to see what everybody creates. But Now I should be able to see all my plugins. So what I'm going to see, I'm looking for account research, which I think might be, there we go. It's a sales skill. And we're actually going to give it now. I'm testing this right now, so I probably wouldn't do this unless I've done some of the stuff before, but we're going to give it access. Let's see. Okay, let's see if we can give it access to Eventual Millionaire and see what we can pull up. Okay, so I want give me research about. Let's say now we can go crazy here, and I'm not going to go too crazy right now. Let's say 3. I'm going to make this video not as long as it could be, and we're going to chunk it into pieces so I can show you each piece. We're going to go deeper into probably 3 of them, but you can take as much time as you need to get context. The more context the AI has, whether it be this one or Gemini or any of the other ones, the more accurate, the less AI slop, the less iteration. So as long as you're comfortable with all this, and we make sure, like in the last video, you have it not send all of your information over to the company, then fingers crossed, we'll be all set. I'm an early adopter, so I've always been a little cray cray when it comes to some of this stuff. Like, let's give it a shot. Okay. So as this is going through, and I'm not going to go too crazy here. Perfect. So I want to see what this account research skill does. And while that's working, one of the things that I really wanted to have you pay attention. So that's going to keep going while I go back to chat. Now, when I go to the BaseKit project, because I created a project earlier, just like I showed you how to create a project before, it's not that difficult. You can see it here. I put it as a star, so it's over here on the left. So one of the things that, again, I learned the hard way, man, was dealing with projects and when you start a new task in Cowork, because like I told you last time, we want them to be like 2 3 hour sessions, depending on how much space, let's call it, it has. And what was happening, or what was super annoying about it, which you may have noticed if you used it like this before, is that it would not be able to pick up all of the information or memory or context into a new cowork session. So one of my clients and I was doing one sort of methodology, he was doing another one, and so we sort of put them together. So here's the one that I want. I will definitely give this to you as well, so that way you can have it. So we're calling it BaseKit. Perfect. Okay, so this is how, and we don't have to get into too many details in here, but one of the things that I think is important is to have the instructions, which it's like, okay, we need to make sure we've got a specific folder structure because it can get crazy. And with my ADHD, it was projects with folders everywhere. Every time I switch a folder, it would put things in different folders. It was a huge mess. So now we have a handful of very specific ways of doing this, and we have trackers. So it's really about handing off. So I know in systems building in general, whether we're doing any sort of process workflow, handoffs, I call them lines. Who's handing off to who? Is exactly how this works too. So you're going to have to learn it one way or another, right? Or at least for now. So the session complete. So at the end of a session, let's say 2 or 3 hours, and we're going to ask it how much content, like how much more space do we have each session. But once it's done, once we're close to the, oh my gosh, this is going to take forever to compress mode, I ask it to do a session complete. So it captures what got done, the decisions, any issues, stopping point, and what's next. Then we have it load current state, which references the completion file, specific task, and any context. So the wonderful thing about that is that you can copy and paste its instructions next time. And I'll show you this in just a second. So, and then a couple other pieces that I think are important. And it does have some of my info. Don't create extra files Jamie didn't ask for, just so we're clear. Okay, so it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be definitely good enough. So then one of the other things, and this is because I put it, one of the things, and this is how we're going to set up the base kit. And actually, you know what? I'm going to copy this. That way we can have it in Google Drive. But this Claude Core piece, that's what has the templates. Let me make it look pretty. So Cowork session handoffs is what I'm calling these templates. Okay, so first we're going to pop in here. I did not have to put these instructions here, by the way. They just had to go here, but it was easy to paste it when I needed it. Okay, perfect. So let's go back and I will give you these structures too, so don't worry. Those are my guidelines. Let's paste. Okay, so I'm going to pop these brand guidelines in here for now. Great. Awesome. So this is all in Google Drive now. Let's go back to Cowork. Perfect. So let's see the PDF that it just created for me. And let's see how right it is. Because if it's not, that's good to know. Okay, perfect. All right. So in general, this looks pretty good. Perfect. I was planning on doing this. Oh, I'm not corporate, just so we're clear. I'm the anti-guru. Appreciate that. Please don't ever call me a guru. That would suck. Let's see. Yeah, so this has a lot of the info already, which is great. We're going to add all this stuff later. Millionaire Masters, AI Tech. Okay, great. Key differentiators. If you didn't know what yours was, it'll figure it out for you. Okay, so this is all for eventual millionaire, and I'm not doing too much with it now. I have the Jamie Masters brand, but this is a pretty solid. Great. So as a whole, I'm going to save these things into, actually, let's put this. So we're looking for this one. And as you can see, it popped it in Eventual Millionaire all folders because that's where it was. And it's not where I want it. I hope you know that. And that's what I was talking about by having it be fun, where it puts everything where it is. Okay. So let's paste them here. I'll go back later and remove them, so don't you worry. And these are mostly just for me, but I like to put, okay, this is the overview. That way, if I need to reference any of this stuff later, I can. Perfect. Okay. Next step. Now I had it create an ICP skill. You don't have to worry about that right now, and I can probably give it to you after we test it quite a bit more. Let's see if it has access. Now, an ICP is either an ideal customer or client profile. You can call it an avatar. You can call it your personas. You can call it whatever you like. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is, yeah, let's change that because we do not want that here. So what we're going to do, so that way it doesn't keep putting stuff in this folder. It pulled from that folder, but I don't want to keep putting it in that folder. We're going to create another new task. Now I'm going to do it from here just because it's a little easier, but you can also do a new task and then put the folder project here. Let's change this. So we want to be able to connect it to Google Drive and then the BaseKit. Perfect. All right. ICP skill. And next video, I'm going to show you how to create skills because some of the most important things that you can use right away in your business that will save you a ton of time and potentially convert a lot better are some specific skills like copywriting. That way, your team can actually prep copywriting stuff, even if they're not the copywriter. We actually will train it on either your copywriter if you have one there, or the owner if it's a thought brand, a thought leadership brand, that kind of thing. Perfect. Okay, great. Now the cool thing is while this is doing this in Cowork, you can actually go into chat and build out other stuff if you really want to. So for example, if I wanted to go over my company values, I could put in a prompt and I could have it walk me through how to create my values. And you can have it create your values based on things, not just guessing what your values are. There's so many exercises, and I've used tons of them with clients as well to try and figure out what your values are. There's even a whole deck of cards that has values, either personal or for business, by the creators that wrote the One Thing, that book. And that way you can actually use something physical to do it. But now that we're in the future, you can actually use a prompt, and I'll put a prompt in the info or maybe a document download so that way you can pull them all because there's a lot of different prompts that I could have you pull from. But being able to actually figure out what your values are based on what you care about. And I'll ask you questions and prompt you. Now, if you have your mission or vision or values, that's great. You can have your personal and company values and put them both in. We are going to be creating later a all about you, sort of the way you communicate. We can also add in things about your team. So for now, though, let's pop back here. Yay. All right, let's see. So I'm sure this can be a bit tighter, but let's just make sure. Yep, that's funny. It used to be slightly more male than female. So that's something I'd probably go check. Yeah, looking pretty solid. Behavioral insights. That's good to know. Yep, these are pretty good. This is what I love. Copywriting, quick reference, opening formulas. So this will actually have some language in it, which is good, which later we'll be able to use for those skills that I was talking about, either a copywriting skill set or a ghostwriting skill set if you want to do like articles. All right, I think that's pretty solid. Let's copy it. Perfect. It's already in the overview. Now, you know what I'm probably going to do though? Well, I'll just change this folder name and we'll keep it there for now. Perfect. Next up. Now, the thing that I'm going to do is show you how that next session, complete session. I haven't used a lot of context or a lot of capacity at all in this, in my opinion, but I'm just going to show you how to do it. Okay, so actually, you know what? I'll do one other thing. And that way you can see it whole. So I'm going to give you my company values. Great. You can also put that ICP in not a markdown file because markdown, well, I'll show you, looks like this. You have to download this or buy this Mark chart or a different program that can open it, or it can be open as a text file. Um, but it looks like this. It's marked down. It's not pretty, so you can make it into a PDF or a doc as well. Now, PDFs, it's sometimes annoying because when you have a PDF, like let's say you have a bunch of transcripts, it does take it longer to open the PDF and read from it, and potentially a lot more capacity from whatever your co-work session is, but they can definitely still read it. They are definitely a lot prettier though for real humans. I don't know if there's any fake humans, but you know. Now this is updating it. I was going to put it in a separate doc, but it doesn't really matter too much. One of the things I can show you, oh, it's already done. Perfect. I'm sure it changed some cool stuff. Normally I would be checking all of those things and verifying. Can you make that into a PDF? Okay, so the cool thing is like I was saying within chat, we don't have to use Cowork for some of these basic ones. So brand guidelines is one that has a skill, so we're gonna have to do that in Cowork. So the other ones that we could do could be, I have one, I'm calling it all about you. So your process, your communication style, decision making approach, that kind of thing. And so I actually have a prompt that we can pull. So I'm an Enneagram 2 wing 3. My disc is a DI. Human design is a whole thing. Manifesting. If you don't know what these are, that's totally okay. Okay, you're welcome to put way more in this too if you like. You didn't answer. Well, I missed it. Okay. All right, let's see. Download the PDF. Great. Of course, I'll go through it with a fine tooth comb, but ta-da! Calls to action, topics that get engagement. But wait, we are not done yet. Okay. So then, and again, I'll wait on that context really quick. So one of the things that I think will be extremely helpful, and this is one of those, I love wowing people with how amazing this is. We can either do a brand review, and actually, you know what? We're gonna do that later. Let's do a brand voice. So we're gonna do a brand voice first, and I'm gonna use the brand stuff that I have for Eventual Million already, and then later we're gonna do a competitive analysis. Okay, so we're gonna pop in. Oops. I think it's still in that document. Okay, great. So it should have access to the Eventual Millionaire guidelines that are already in that folder. So let's see what it does. Okay, while that's writing, let's go back to chat. All of them. While that's doing that, we can pop back over here. Now, while that's going, I'm also going, oh, it's already done. Look at that. Okay, let's see. Perfect. These are the values. This is what I was looking for. The voice. Let's see. Direct. Ooh, casually authoritative. I didn't realize I was casual. Perfect. Great. So a lot of this stuff is going to be going into like those copywriting, especially when you're working specifically with the avatar or personas. We want to make sure we're hitting those great first. But yep, we've got our logos, we've got our colors, terminology. Ooh, I like that. Use this, not this. And actually, nowadays, I don't even like the word scale. But it's close. It's very close. Never use hustle harder, correct? Yep. Yes, I do hate boss babe or girl. Hey, girl babe. I said girl babe. Girl boss. Great. Overarchingly, apparently I say dude, isn't this crazy? Noted. All right. So I think it looks pretty good. Let's make the PDF. Now it's going to take a little bit and it's compacting the conversation, which makes sense. So let's pop over here. Ooh, all about me. Great. How I'm wired, working with my energy, what slows me down. Yes, wasted meetings. Yes. Okay, so these are pretty solid. If you've already given it a lot of context, so one of the things I'll ask is, do you have any other context about me, how I work? This is where that memory limit cuts. So, because we're in a document that only has access to those, let's actually see if I can do it on a new chat and see if I don't, or let's see, general business maybe. Yeah, let's paste it here and see. It doesn't know what the doc is, but that's totally fine. So, what's going on in Cowork now? Okay, great. I don't totally care about generating the PDF, so we're going to ignore that part for now. Let's just do can you do a session complete doc? Now, right now, we didn't use too much for this cowork session, but you really want to get in the habit of this, especially when we're going to be building out a knowledge base with tons and tons of transcripts. I actually have my other machine right now going through transcripts, many, many, many transcripts in chunks. And I'm doing it for a handful of days. And so when you get in that habit, it makes it so much easier. Great. So this, I pivot mid session. Nice. Okay, let's see. Great. Yep. Messy first, clean later. Yep. That's a very much thing. Okay, cool. So that's interesting. Not like super crazy nutso, but interesting. Okay, so I went back into my base kit, creating a personal business profile. I'm going to say, and you, those above, and these. So depending on the project, it has different memory. And so we'll add these just in case. Now, if your AI says stuff about you that isn't so great, don't put it in your company docs. Like, you don't like your employees. Like, that's not cool. So make sure you go through this with a fine tooth comb because we're building off of it. And of course, we need to make sure it's actually working. Okay, while that's finishing, and while Cowork is doing its thing too, oh, lovely, it decided to do the PDF instead of creating the other piece. That's okay. What I wanted to show you though was if you don't have an org chart, team structure, I 1,000 times, please, please, please recommend that you do this. Not because it's just busy paperwork and nobody looks at it, so it doesn't really matter, even though I've heard that many times before. What matters is that we know where the boundaries are between roles. We know the escalation plan. So let's say, for example, we're in marketing, and this is just a Canva template that I'll link to. So you can use this one. You can look for a ton of other templates. You can even update it with Cowork because Cowork and Canva work together. But the thing that I think is important is if you don't understand who is underneath and who is in charge, the escalation plan that I know I want every single company I've ever worked with to create can be extremely confusing. Who asks who a questions? Where do we escalate when we have a problem? All that stuff can get very vague. And I know communication is kind of like a big gray, a big buzzword, but super important to actually put into tangible actions so that your company is a lot more effective, not just efficient, right? It's not like, okay, we do these things, but are they the right things? That's what we care about. All right, so these are all the lovely things that we created. So if you want to take a quick peek, this is what the session complete looks like from today. This is what we created. And then our new session prompt. Yay. Okay, so we're almost done. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to show you how I usually create a new cowork session, which new task, like I was saying before, we can actually put the project, the base kit, and then all I would really do is pop this in and we'll pick up where we left off. Fingers crossed. Now, long term, there's so many other things that we can do. We can do a competitor analysis. I'll probably actually create a mini video for that to show you what that looks like. We can create a folder with all your process documents and they could go through it. There's just so many other things that you can do when it comes to this. I think it's really, really important to make sure that everything lives in Google Drive. And the funny thing is, let's see, all caught up. So we could look, we could even create content. There's so many things that we can do. I'm going to have it run on the marketing. Let's start the competitive analysis really quick. Great. So I love letting things go, as you can already tell. Perfect. Now let's see, is this even in Drive? Perfect. Okay, I want that in there anyway, but in general, we're just going to pop it into the Google Drive. That's the old one. You see, this is the non-version one. This is the newest one. All right, we're gonna, actually, you know what? I'm gonna export it to PDF just so we have it. And then let's put it in the Google Drive folder. Okay. So company context, as you can see, it put pretty much everything in the overview. Let me show you really quick, and then we'll wrap up. Yay. Now we can, of course, pull these things out. Here's the ICP. We'll make sure that we have certain folders. I'll usually split this up and have PDFs in one, Markdown in another, personally, just so it's easier to pull from. Otherwise, it just seems like we have three versions of everything. But from here, we can keep going. Let me know if you have any questions as we go through any of this. If there's anything else you feel like we need, I'll have a list of other things and prompts that you can put in here. So that way you can have a full set of foundational company context docs. And later we can add quarterly goals that it can keep track of. We can add metrics. We can add so many other things that will have the full scope of your business. So thank you for joining me. Glad you learned so much about me, and I hope you had fun. All right, take care.